Show. The last week, Toscano.
What up, Joe?
You guys covered. Don't worry. I know everyone on the.
A couple people were wondering if we are gonna make it tonight.
Not only that. I was gonna say a lot of people in our mentions were like, keep John away from the show. He's the bad luck. The Pistons' bad luck charm, and I guess it wasn't him. It wasn't John's fault because the Celtics still managed to lose this one. It looked good under 2 minutes to go. You looked like the Celtics just had to make one more stop. But in my opinion, Jimmy, the play that stood out to me was the offensive rebound. I thought Al Horford made up for it in making that three-pointer. But down the stretch, Jason Tatum, potential game winner, it wasn't enough. And Bobby Manning joins us from TD Garden. I guess we can start with Bobby. Bobby, what's your take on what went down? I know, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm chopped liver. No, I'll see you guys later. It's all good.
Bobby's gonna come in hot, so we might as well give him the floor here. And you know what? He probably has a quote for us from Ime Udoka, or maybe he doesn't. But what's up, Bobby?
What
you got,
Bob? Yeah, Ime just finished. Talked about the physicality that the Pistons played with. We clearly saw that in the offensive boards throughout the game and late. I thought Cade Cunningham got into Tatum very aggressively on the defensive end, used 5 fouls, and a wise one on the end there on that go-ahead that White could have thrown to Tatum for the win. And they held it down on those last 2 possessions. I think it was Cunningham who saved with Brown on that first one, got the block with Stewart. And then on the follow-up try after Cunningham's foul, you basically saw Grant stick right with Tatum on that fadeaway. Not great shots to me. Ime liked them, especially the Tatum one there. He didn't talk so much about the Brown one. But they did prefer to get downhill there. Obviously, Brown did on that first try, just ran into a crowd and didn't pass it out. Probably didn't have time to, but wasn't a wise shot. And they were looking to get a handoff from Tatum on that play where he ended up shooting the fadeaway, clearly. And there was another play like that earlier in the season. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, Jimmy, which one it was. It might have been that Portland game where Tatum just took like a leaning 3 when they were trying to get some more downhill passing action going on the final shot of the game there. So I don't have the numbers in front of me. It doesn't feel like Tatum's shooting that well on go-ahead or game-winning shots this year. And this was another example here late in this game. But listen, they gave this game away with all those turnovers, all those offensive rebounds that they gave up to that point. And blowing an 8-point lead like that, Ime said, leaves a sour taste in your mouth going in the break, despite all the good stuff that they've done over the last couple of weeks here.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we were texting Bobby, and I thought this was a pretty good game, entertaining game considering the opponent. Obviously, Detroit, to me, really brought their A game tonight. And this kind of felt like the Celtics showed up to class without their backpacks, knowing it was the last day before spring break. They were like, "Yeah, we're cruising," and the Pistons showed up ready for the midterms. That's how I compare this game.
I knew we were getting that, Jimmy. I predicted.
Yeah, you know what though, Jimmy? I felt like the Celtics
that feeling show without the backpack.
They almost stayed up late all night, crammed, and almost passed the test. But in that last minute, I mean, it came down to effort. That last offensive rebound by the Pistons, I thought, did them in. Even though Al Horford responded right after it. You get that rebound, you take away that layup. I think the Celtics win the game. It was offensive rebounding and hustle, I thought, on the side of the Pistons that generally won them the game.
Offensive rebounds, literally that offensive rebound that had Jaylen Brown caught looking there, that was the difference. But the Celtics went on there. Everyone was kind of waiting for the Celtics to go on a little bit of a run. They do in the fourth quarter to go up by, 6 or 8? And you kind of felt like, okay, this is the breathing room that, we've all been kind of waiting for in this game. And then to see the Pistons climb back in it again, I mean, whether it was Bay, whether it was Jeremy Grant, who's the other guy there tonight that was really
Olynyk?
Olynyk, yeah, he's another story. I can't believe the Kelly Olynyk tour continues to roll on through Boston. I mean, he's killed the Celtics many times in his career. It's kind of funny.
Jimmy, did you catch the Bobby definitely didn't hear it, but did you catch the guy in the back who just kept getting into Gorman's mic? He's like, "Come on, Kelly, what do you got, Kelly? Come on, Kelly."
The crowd was groaning as those threes were falling down for Olynyk. It was like,
yeah,
you did it to us again. He's had a couple big ones against the Celtics.
It never gets old. I mean, Celtics fans are always going to do that because they're like, "How is this still happening after all these years?"
And Sadiq Bey, man, what are the numbers on him at this point? How many conversations have we had about that guy? I know at one point tonight he was 22 for 30 in his career. I think he added another one after that, but 22 of his first 30 tries from 3 against the Celtics fall. That's incredible. That's got to be some kind of record.
I know when you tweeted that stat, I was like, "There's no way that's an accurate stat." But I mean, when you think about it, every time
He had that
he
7-for-7
plays
game,
the
remember?
Celtics, Josue's like, "Damn it, that's the guy I wanted. That's the guy I
Yo,
wanted. That's the guy I wanted."
it's
So
the Sadiq curse. All right, Sadiq
I
Bey
know.
curse.
So they played hard tonight. Credit to the Pistons. They did not play like a team that is considered one of the worst in the NBA tonight. I know that when you're the Celtics position, you're the hottest team in the NBA, and everyone's gonna assume that the Celtics just sort of sleptwalk through it. And I know that at points they did, and we talked about some of the turnovers in the second half, second chance points by the Pistons. But I thought there were points in this game where they came out strong, and the Pistons hit their shots tonight. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'll have to pull them up, but whatever the Pistons were from the field on threes. What do we got here? 53% from three. I mean,
Yeah,
16 for
53.
30. They were hitting some deep ones, and I know we mentioned Olynyk, Sadiq Bey. Those guys,
17 second chance points too, man.
17 second chance points. So I mean, those are things that are going to kill you when you don't have, you don't have two of your starters tonight too. We have to mention that without Marcus Smart, without Rob Williams, and we'll probably get into Marcus Smart news maybe a little bit later, which was, Bobby, anything pre or post that you want to bring up that they mentioned about Marcus?
Nothing concrete.
Ime was very vague, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he was listed as doubtful, is that a reason to be optimistic? I mean, I'm trying to, I guess, like, look for something positive here, because I'm hoping that
I'd say no, just because there wasn't really a chance he was going to play, I don't think. You saw the way he was walking in, still not moving well, no boot. But Ime did say he doesn't anticipate being long-term, which he said about countless injuries this year.
Yeah.
Brown most notably.
The fact that he's walking on his own, no boot, I'll say the fact that he was listed as doubtful, I mean, that's better than straight up like no chance. I knew he wasn't going to play, but my point is maybe he's not as serious of an injury, and it doesn't make any sense at all to risk it. Even though the Celtics did end up losing this one, I think the thinking behind it is just make sure your guys are healthy for the second half of this season. So to me, I said this yesterday on the show, I'm not going to be heartbroken if they lose this game. It was second night of a back-to-back. It's kind of setting up for, you're going to lose at some point, and we kind of said yesterday, the break couldn't come at a worse time. Well, maybe after a loss like this, they get a chance to reset a little bit and they can start afresh with the new winning streak. Hopefully coming out of the break, get guys the rest that they need, and get ready for what should be a pretty entertaining second half here.
Yeah, no question. We thought we felt the trap game vibes going into this one for sure. But you look at the fourth quarter, the way the Celtics played offensively, man, it's just like you can't help but wonder if the Celtics put together a couple of stops. Now, look, Cade Cunningham had a heck of a game. I mean, look, the three of these guys, Grant, Bey, Cunningham, what did they combine for? What, 60? Wait, no. Yeah. So they combined for what, 64 points? I'm not sure that happens if Robert Williams is in the middle, right? I'm not sure if Isaiah Stewart goes nuts.
Stewart, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, if
Beef stew.
if Rob is out there,
Yeah, I like that.
So look, if they come back from the All-Star break and one of these guys, or maybe both of them are out between Marcus and Rob, this could be tough for the Celtics. They gotta keep going on. They have to carry that momentum that they had going into the All-Star break. They have to keep that going if they want to, stabilize themselves in the Eastern Conference and make sure that they're still in the hunt for home court advantage.
Bobby, anything specific from Ime? I know you briefly mentioned it, but I mean, was he disappointed? Was he just kind of ready for a break here?
So he talked a little bit.
Before I'll cut you off right off the start. I didn't hate the last shot from Tatum. I mean, he got a clean look, and
he didn't either. Yeah, and I think Tatum's pretty good in those spots at creating separation, but they're just such hard shots, right? He's a guy that can hit those, but you want to make something easier in those situations. Like, when have they ever in those spots gotten like a clean lob off to Rob or found a guy cutting to the rim? It's just always the one-on-one action, and that started to pile up in the late stages of this game. You saw Brown attacking individually. Horford turned the ball over on one play. I believe White, just pulled up from three at one point too, probably their best ball mover. I wasn't all that impressed with him on the offensive end tonight. They need him to step up in a ball movement capacity, and he kept it moving, but he didn't initiate all that much. And Tatum was just a mess with the ball from the start. So you didn't have the organizer in Smart, and you saw the difference there, especially at a very late stage in the game and in the fourth quarter there. I mean, they had an 8-point lead, and they squandered it in 2 minutes. And that's just bad possessions piling up. 5 out of 6 empty-handed as they allowed the Pistons to tie the game there.
And that happened after the 10-0 run, which surprised me. I'm like, wow, the Pistons,
they got to 13-0.
they're still in this.
Josue. Yeah.
13-0, right? They stretched to 13-0, timeout, and then the Pistons came right back. I mean, to their credit, the effort was certainly there. But, yeah, Bobby, you look at that fourth quarter and those plays down the stretch. Now, we have to give White the props for getting that steal, right? I mean, he gave the Celtics a chance to actually still win the game. But that did cross my mind if they would do some, backcourt – or excuse me, a backdoor play for White for a layup. But I just thought with 6 seconds, just wasn't enough time. It was a really tough spot for Ime to sort of come up with a play. But, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what Ime is going to do because, down the stretch, those end-of-the-game plays, those execution plays, is he going to keep going with these ISO, Tatum and ISO Brown? They're going to get really redundant.
Grandy, what do we got here? Problems, Tice, Grant, Horford can't rebound. I guess. I mean, Horford had a good rebounding game, right? It's just – I guess the second unit minutes might have killed you.
Horford had a heck of a game. He had a classic Horford stat line.
I said this to Bobby before we started the show. I said the fact they lost this game kind of spoiled Al's big night. What is it, 18 points or something like that? And
who had Bay had 5 offensive rebounds. Olynyk had 3, who's going to be on perimeter guys. Hayes 2, Bagley 2. Like it wasn't beef stew killing you in there, and he did have 3 himself, but people across the boards were sneaking in on the offensive boards, and a lot of times it was in transition. Nobody got back on those spots. So
a lot of people calling him that, Bobby?
Yeah.
I like that nickname. That may be one of my favorite nicknames now.
I did. I thought that was. I was wondering if that's just a Pistons thing, but that's really that's all over the NBA now. All right. Cool.
It's being picked up the more we see them. I think we're playing this team 2 more times over the next stretch here, so you'll see plenty of these guys.
Bobby, thoughts on Derrick White
plenty of stew.
Tonight with the starters and everything like that?
Defensively, Josue said it well there. He was disruptive. Hands and plays, that big charge in the fourth quarter. Obviously gave them a second chance to win the game there with an excellent tip to himself off the inbound there. That was just such a crafty defensive play. Offensively, though, I wasn't all that impressed. The shooting definitely started to dip after that hot debut. Yeah. And primary initiating, he didn't have many opportunities. He still ends up with 6 assists. So the ball movement's good. It's rapid with him. He makes quick decisions. But we're still not seeing him in 2 blocks, too, in this game. Pretty impressive stat line there. But we're still not seeing him, run pick and roll, bring the ball up the floor, do all the different things you normally see Smart do in that spot. So it does call in the question a little bit whether he necessarily is interchangeable directly with Smart in that spot. I knew that Smart was a better passer. Probably has more experience in recent seasons being a facilitator on the ball. And White, we're still going to have to wait and see for him to get to that spot. But not the most efficient offensive start to his career in green. But I thought Grandy and others made some good points. He still hasn't moved from Texas. Wife's pregnant, not in the area. A bunch of games here since he got traded, back-to-back. Sure. All that stuff's probably piling up on him a little bit now.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are humans, so I can understand a little bit of personal life getting in the way. And I mean, he did have such a hot start to his Celtics career, where I guess
the expectations went through the roof right off the bat. Yeah,
right. So
he was fine. I mean, you look at his stat sheet: 9, 6, 6, 2, and 2, or 3 and 2, 3 steals. It's rock solid. He just didn't give you a ton of scoring and shooting.
Right. I mean, he was still kind of zipping around the court there. I mean, I don't know if he's still maybe a little bit too passive. In situations, looking for Jaylen and Jason when he's got the ball. I think there was one drive I can recall, maybe it was in the first half, where he probably should have kept it, and I think he tried to dish it to Jaylen, and it ended up being a turnover. So I don't really know whose fault that was, but I guess I'm not going to fault guys for trying to make the extra pass when we criticize them for 3 months for not doing so. So I think it's just going to come with comfortability over time. These guys. I mean, how many practices has White had with these guys? 1? I mean, obviously they didn't do any practice from yesterday's game till today. So
1 at most.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he's probably going to get some homework over the break here. And, you just got to hope that he's, maybe get some plays more down pat here as they go into the second half.
Ime is going to be hammered.
I'm just afraid that we're going to be like a week or 2 removed from the All-Star break. And we'll be like, man, remember when Derrick White and Marcus Smart were both playing together? I'm just afraid Marcus is going to sit out, and that the backcourt, the Celtics backcourt, and I know it's a small sample size, but man, they look so good when they're both out there, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like White was maybe a little bit exposed a bit. Yeah, sure, it's a new team, it's a new setup, but for the most part, I just think they look just much stronger. When Smart's out there or when he's coming off the bench and they're closing things out in the fourth quarter. I'm not quite sure this happens if they're out there. Shit, I'll give Marcus that as well. Same kind of credit I'm giving to Robert.
1,000%.
They're a tremendous
Totally.
difference on that end of the floor. Yeah.
Totally.
What makes me feel good though?
I don't think the
two
Pistons
best
steal one
defensive.
with those guys. With those guys there.
What do you got, Bob?
What makes me feel good though about this game is that you can still execute at a pretty high level offensively when you're not giving the ball away, despite those two guys being out. I thought they did some good things right through the bench units. Neesmith had that big putback. Grant, 3 threes to start the fourth quarter.
There it
I
is.
mean, everybody kind of pitched in with shot making here.
Oh, he was balling.
They finished 54% from the field, 40% from three. They get to the free throw line 18 times. Pistons, they don't score. I mean, that's why they're so bad. But they do defend pretty physically. And the Celtics were still able to get by them, score, build some leads here. It's just they took their foot off the gas each time. And this was more of an attention to detail loss when you think about those offensive rebounds and the turnovers. The turnovers are so bad. Tatum just tossing it out of bounds. Guys losing the ball, losing their dribbles against switches and stuff. This was, like you said, Jimmy, to start the show, just a getaway game. There wasn't a strong mental focus here, especially in that fourth quarter, which I guess still is a question with this team. I know Grandy read off that stat that when they win by 6, they're like 20 games over 500, and they're still well under 500 when it's closer than that to close the game. So those 1 possession, 2 possession games late, still a little bit of an issue for this group.
What did you think of
they want to
the
know
second unit?
Have they talked about Brown yet? Before we get to the second unit, though, did you guys think? I mean, Brown had the hot. I thought he had a hot start to this game.
Yeah, we talked about the play. His drive to the rim, which was blinders Jaylen. By the way, there was nothing that was going to stop him from that attempt.
You're talking about when he got blocked.
The wall. Yeah, he got blocked twice on that, Jimmy. Like he had zero chance.
He got really blocked.
And I don't think he was he got mad blocks on one play. And I felt like he had the blinders on. He's like, look, I'm going to the rim no matter what. And
there were a couple of those.
Did I get fouled? No, I didn't. I didn't get fouled on that. Okay, you're right.
Earlier,
there was nothing he could say after that.
Earlier in that fourth quarter, he did something similar. He did kind of a wacky drive to the hoop, miss, and then Pistons came back in transition and scored. I think it was a transition 3, if I'm not mistaken. So, you guys wanted us to talk about Jaylen. Well,
Jaylen, you don't have to stick to the play every time. All right.
Yeah.
You can call an audible every once in a while. Like that's what happens. That what did the coaches say in high school? Like the play is designed to be broken sometimes. You have options after the play is broken.
Yeah, and they had options. They certainly did on those plays. They're building those into those play calls late there, and it's on these guys to become the decision makers in those spots. They're left with the keys. They have to make the choices in those spots. It's not laid out right in front of them, and a lot of times they do lean into shooting it and trying to take it for themselves. And you think of the last 11 games or so, they got so good at deferring and making that extra pass, and I think it is a little bit easier when you have a 2-possession lead, or certainly a 20-point lead, as they have more often than not over the last stretch here. So it's when things really get tight, it's when the pressure builds up, even against bad teams, that you worry about those guys on the ball and what decisions they end up making in those spots. And there wasn't a finality to the way Ime was talking in Philadelphia yesterday. He said it's not going to happen overnight. The same stuff he's repeating. It's going to be a process for those guys, and that involves some ups and downs. They went way, way, way up over the last stretch here, and now they're kind of down in the fourth quarter in terms of keeping the ball moving, running plays, and sticking to trusting their teammates in those situations. I mean, did they really have any great passes to their teammates over the last 7, 8, 9, 10 possessions of this game? It was just a lot of one-on-one.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I thought earlier in the game they were making an effort to make those passes, and they were connected in some ways. But we were talking about it on the Discord. Shout out Discord. If you guys aren't on our Discord yet, I think the link is probably floating around. We've been tweeting it out. We've got like 500-600
That
people on
Pierce
our
LeBron
Discord.
game last night, though.
Last night we had a little Pierce
Yeah, it was good
LeBron
times.
talk as the game was going on. Tonight I was in there during the game. A lot of chatter on the refs tonight. I don't know if you guys felt the same. That the refs missed some things. Kind of
They
light on the
weren't
whistle.
great. They're on All-Star watch too.
Right.
Yeah, it's vacation time for them.
There was
too.
one
People forget
ridiculous.
that.
What was
Yeah,
that,
as hard
Bob?
as anybody, travel and all that different kind of stuff. But there was one ridiculous play by the Celtics bench. Do you see that one where the bench went nuts and they changed it? It was like right off Bagley's foot out of bounds, and they initially called it out of bounds on the Celtics somehow in that spot. But in terms of anything that actually went wrong, nothing sticks out too badly. There was definitely a strong physicality allowed to the Pistons through this one, but that's what you're going to see against certain teams, and that's certainly Detroit's MO. And I'm not saying that the bad boys or anything like that, or even the Billups crew, but they're a big physical bunch. They'll put
They're
two,
working
maybe
on
three
that.
bigs.
Yeah.
And Marvin Bagley's
trying
another
to
guy
do
that fits that
They're trying to
mold.
go back to
Yeah,
the old days.
This
for
is.
sure.
I actually agree. I actually thought this was
What
possible.
about
I
him?
thought that he traveled too.
I thought
In the comment here, sorry.
I was
Cade
afraid we're gonna
traveled.
get a Bagley game. I'm like, is this gonna be his Bagley game? Like, is Marvin Bagley gonna resurge his career here and starting tonight against the Celtics? That's what I thought for a second.
Wasn't tonight, but
yeah.
he's gonna get more of it.
They
He's
didn't
gonna
need
get
it. They
his
got
opportunity.
65. They got 65 points.
I saw the travel play. I saw they fouled
Yeah, we'll
Grant like a second before after that miss too. They were mad that they didn't get the whistle sooner when they were about to send Detroit to the free throw line, but they got the steal. So yeah, there were moments in this one. I don't know. Maybe it's just like me getting a couple more years into like this media thing. Like I rarely go the ref direction anymore. I don't. Like I don't come out of many games.
Welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at that point.
Yeah.
I hate talking about the refs because it's like, what's the point? What's going to come of it? And we're
Unless
wasting
it's
our
like
all
the
our time.
Super Bowl and there's just some
I feel like-
craziness in a
I
key
feel
spot.
like that's not only. Yeah, right. Exactly. It's got to be a key spot. 1 and 2. I feel like that's like you're covering a rebuilding team. Comment. It's like, well, the rest and the rest. It's kind of like the fallback line for like.
It's such a homer. It's such a homer
overachieving
take. Like,
team.
well,
Because Isaiah Thomas teams.
right.
I didn't even hear any crazy boos in the
like,
crowd, and the
team
crowd's
that
going to be the
Kelly
first one to
Olynyk
get
was
on
on,
that.
like those teams.
Yeah. No, I hear you guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Anything else stand out to you in this game,
Yeah.
Bob or Josue? I know you were watching from home tonight. I'm
Yeah,
trying to think
just
if there's anything else.
I mean, another thing I want to talk about, actually, now that you mentioned it, your boy Bobby. Not to keep picking on you about Pritchard, but I thought this was a good game for him to just give you solid minutes, and I felt like he comes in and he does this thing where it's like, okay, I'm in this game because I got to start shooting threes, and I didn't like 2 of his shots. I felt like they were forced. I felt like they were just out of sync with the team, and all of a sudden, he played like about 11, 12 minutes. And he was on the bench, and Ime stuck with the 8-man rotation. Like, what did you think about Pritchard's play today? And what's his backcourt going to do if Marcus is to miss extended time?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I started to think about that a little bit, but you don't know beyond this week what that's going to look like. And they'll certainly have a tough one right away a week from now against Brooklyn. It's got to be him though. You got to give him some leeway in that spot to work through some rust, shoot his way out of some struggles, and be aggressive. And I do like that he gets downhill. I do like that he's looking to pass in those spots. He had a nice assist on the one driving kick that he had there, but you're right, it's like 11, 12 minutes and he's done, even in the night where you don't have Smart. It doesn't feel like Ime's loved him from the start. Brad threw him right into games early last year, and he was impactful. Not the best pick and roll creator, not a guy who's naturally a facilitator, but was a guy who was pushing the pace and looking to pass. And I don't think he's a bad defender. I don't think he's a good one. He's just competitive and stays in front of guys, and sometimes his mismatches that hurt him. That's probably what Ime doesn't like about him. But offensively, I still think he's a guy that can give you something. There are way worse third point guard options you can think of in this league, and I haven't loved the way that he's just been completely phased out for most of this year. Maybe I've just fallen in love with this guy and I have the blinders on too much for some of the bad things that he does. But I feel like we saw last year that he can give you something. And maybe the tape's out and teams have just completely figured out how to stop him, and Ime can see that minutes into his stint. But I never feel like he has complete leeway unless there's a wave of COVID over this team to go out there and do his thing. Now you trust White, you trust Brown and Tatum as ball handlers, and even still, I don't mind Pritchard as a catch and shoot guy out there. They're not falling all that much this year, but he's one of your better shooters. You can't deny that, even if you don't feel like he's your best at this point.
Yeah, but why is he like curling and then just taking those shots, like or like off the dribble? Like, I don't know. I'm like, is Ime telling you to do this? Is he trying to get you out of into your comfort zone or something? Because I didn't like his approach at all offensively.
I think he's
You
best
see them
at
having
shooting.
some conversations. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's a little bit of a miscommunication there at times between those two. And listen, it would be easy to understand Pritchard not knowing his role within the offense when he's getting into these games, not having great chemistry with the teammates he's playing with, because he's just not playing a lot. Same can be said for Nesmith, who's running around and doing backflips and smashing in the bodies when he's getting in the games and really not knowing where he's going. He was good tonight.
He had a
don't throw shade
one.
on Nesmith tonight. Yeah,
he was good tonight.
Who led the team? Who led the Celtics in plus minus tonight?
Aaron Nesmith.
You can do a lot. You can do a lot worse than A right now. All right, Bob. You can do a lot worse than A.
I think Ime's starting to like some of the things Nesmith's given them.
I think so too. I mean, you can't question that he plays hard. Obviously, you can't question that he plays hard. You can't question that they need a shooter on this team. And instead of trying to, make one out of somebody who isn't one originally. I mean, Nesmith came into this league regarded as one of the best shooters. Now, obviously, that hasn't happened. We all know that. But like you just said about Pritchard, you got to get on the court. You got to play. We've been hammering that. If John was on the show tonight, he would be saying the same thing. These guys need to be playing 20 minutes a game because they're not going to ever develop if they're getting 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and they're getting a quick yank after a couple misses. So tonight, Nesmith, he had the three-pointer, and then he had the classic Nesmith sort of flail around, end up on your back somehow, but the shot went in, or the putback went in. So
it's a little bit of everything. To do the fast break.
A little bit of everything from Nesmith. Is a very Nesmithy performance. I'd still like to see a little bit more burn from him out there on the court. They kind of shied away from him later. But yeah, you had Pritchard, Nesmith tonight. Obviously, you weren't going nearly as deep into your rotation tonight as you did last night. Bobby didn't see his friend Luke out there. Hauser didn't get any burn. So
Tice looked good though. I'm surprised by how good Tice looks good. I'm surprised by how good Tice looks. Just because of the fact that he hasn't played since early January. You would think he'd be trying to get his wind under him and everything else, but they threw like a delayed ball pick and roll to him, and he didn't catch it right, and he had some traffic around him. He still threw down a nice slam from stationary position there. He didn't play a ton either in this one. They really leaned into the starters here trying to win this, and I guess that's what makes it all the more disappointing. You're the much more talented team here, and at times you showed that with how easily you went out there and scored and got downhill and ran out in transition. One thing I liked about this game, fast break still looks really good. After the Sixers game where you burned them in that area too, and they've gotten a lot better at it. Tatum talked about that after the last game, how they've just taken on a mentality, even if it's not comfortable for everybody, of just always making that go-ahead pass. And this team's pace has gone through the roof compared to early in the year.
Which I feel like that should help someone like Nesmith, right? And I think it is. You know what? He reminds me of that sophomore high school team that's on varsity. He's finally cracked through. Like, he's in the rotation. Everyone is cheering for him. And I think this carries over after the break. I think this is good for the Celtics because, again, that second unit can get really thin once there's an injury. Bobby, you talked about that right after the deadline, right after the trade deadline. One injury, and this team can really be in trouble here. And Celtics right now, they have two. Now we'll see how they do. I'm maybe being a little overdramatic here, for the show, but it's something to think about. It's something to keep your mind on for sure moving forward and heading into the All-Star break with the Celtics team.
So let me ask you guys.
With the 9-game winning streak.
34-26 heading into the All-Star break. Don't forget about how they got there, but would you be happy with that record? All things considered going in the All-Star break? What are they, the 5 seed still? That's where I had them. I think you and John were a little lower, right, Jimmy? Yeah, I think we were. We definitely were a little bit lower, yeah. So we were all fairly. But they're like what? They're like 2 games away from the 3 and 2 games away from the 10th. It's like it's still extremely anyone's, conference right now, it feels like. But, I think the way that they've closed out this first half, if you're a Celtics fan or if you're really anyone on the Celtics, I think you have to be happy with the way you kind of pulled yourself together here in the last couple of weeks, despite the loss tonight. Put that aside. I mean, these guys were on the brink of people were talking about blow it up, become sellers at the trade deadline. And now I'm seeing, stats out there that they're the favorite to win the NBA finals.
The championship.
Yeah, exactly. I saw that today. I think that somebody was like 20. Did you send me that stat, Bob?
538, yeah.
538 has them at like a 20% chance to win the finals this year. So I mean, I'm not really ready to say that, but when you come from where you were 3 weeks ago, I think you have to be pretty happy going into the All-Star break. And you know what? It sounds like the Marcus Smart injury isn't as bad as it could have been. The Rob is just a little nagging thing for all we know. So you're going to be coming back down the out of the break with almost your entire team intact in hopes that Marcus Smart can join the team, shortly after.
Aren't the numbers supposed to be like the response to human bias and emotions and recency bias and all that stuff? And all of a sudden, the machine and the stats are saying the Celtics are going all the way.
Right. Yeah. You won't hear me saying that, but you can find a stat for anything, I guess. I mean, I don't know. 538's been wrong before.
But like,
who knows?
Bobby, yeah, you got a good point, because especially when a trade like what happened last week, which had nothing to do with the Celtics, goes down, like that usually helps those two teams out significantly. And out of nowhere, the Celtics, their odds went up.
Going back to the theme of what I want to take this show to a little bit of a theme. I want first half sort of review style here. So I want to get your guys', I guess, opinions on maybe like your MVP of the first half, most surprising, maybe most disappointing. Like, let's start with MVP of the first half. Bobby, do you have one?
I said it somewhere in between the disaster to start the year and the turnaround, and you guys freaked out. But it's Marcus Smart. You see the impact his return had on the offensive organization. Him embracing the point guard. All those quips. Max talked again tonight how he saw Smart in the elevator and said, what's the key to this turnaround after 5 straight wins? And Smart was like, they let the point guard handle the ball there. And he obviously had one of my favorite interviews with a Celtic this year I saw was Jay King's article in The Athletic talking about Smart and him just campaigning, essentially, as we talked about, for that point guard role. And it played out. The numbers were outstanding, phenomenal. That's how that term was birthed here, Marcus Smart's play. I got a lot of crap for that too, but I think it all turned out to be true. Smart took that point guard role in stride, played within himself. I think Brown said again his temperament, to use his words, over the last 10, 14 games was phenomenal. And they found their point guard, at least for that short run, in Smart after everybody was looking for one on the outside there. So I think he by far was the MVP. Tatum had his shooting ups and downs. He really leaned into it, into his facilitation abilities there. And, Brown's been a high-level scorer at times. There's a lot of rocks on the roster, too, like Robin Horford inside. But I think Smart was the guy who raised your ceiling the most when he played well.
What you got, Josue?
I think, that's solid. I mean, clearly he's been that impactful for this entire winning streak. But, you look at adding Derrick White next to him, and I just felt like it took this team to another level on defense. And the numbers back that up. We just didn't get enough sample sizes.
You're giving White the MVP?
That closing lineup that features White.
So who's your MVP?
The MVP? No, I'm not giving him the MVP. I'm saying
you're dispelling the notion that it's Smart.
You're crediting Smart for the last week.
Yes, your pick, not to bash mine.
Look, it's a small sample size.
No, I like
all
this.
Right? But look, it's Tatum. I mean, look, the MVP has got to be Tatum. Look, how many games this team has lost if Tatum isn't going off the way he has, or how many 30-plus point games he put together, or how many times he's been able to put the game in his own control, whether it's him being a facilitator or being just a full-on scorer. For me, that he's turned the corner after he got COVID, after those slow starts, coming back after those slow starts. And he just picked up right where, he was last season and being the top scorer of this team. So, yeah, I think it's Tatum. I don't think it's as complicated or it's an underdog like Marcus.
Yeah, I mean, I think both answers are correct. You can make good arguments for both. Obviously, Tatum is going to the All-Star game and has had a really good first half, all things considered. So I think that's probably the answer that you're going to get from most people. I'll probably go. Ooh, it's close. I think I'm going to go Schroder. Before he got traded, I think
What?
Schroder might have.
Get out of here. He's messing with you. Get out of here.
I wanted
Look,
to see Bobby's head
Trading
pop off, that's all.
trading Schroder might have been the MVP move.
Oh, here we go. Mute Bobby. I got editing. I can mute you right now, bro. Easy what you say about my guy. Easy, but
I feel like
mix it up.
when Marcus called people out and stuff, and when he shows your value, but at the same time, I feel like you sort of stirred the pot a bit. You know, whether it was a split locker room or a little friction going on, whatever it
Sure.
was. I don't know. Sometimes
But
he's
he
not
was
always
right.
helping, so I don't know.
Even that's
Sure.
one of the few points John and I aligned on this year was that Smart was right about that. And the reason Brown and Tatum are in a much better place now is because they embraced maybe not what Smart said there, but the lighter version that Ime was preaching.
7 weeks later, like 7 weeks after Marcus said it, and Marcus like, see, I was right. It's like, kind of. We almost messed everything
Well,
up.
these guys, don't we see the difference? And this is the theme of the season. There was a point, and I know we flip-flop all over the place and react to everything, but the one thing I said that I stayed fairly consistent to is I was more worried about the process this year than the results. I know we're getting excited about the streak here and 538's projection, all that kind of stuff, but what we really want to see is them be in a better place as a team, right? And as individuals here, players, development, all that kind of stuff. And you see it with Grant. I mean, I was thinking tonight watching Grant, they'll probably talk extension with him, right? At this point, now that he's eligible this summer, not saying they're going to pour money on his head, but they'll want to kind of secure him long term, I think, if they can get a fair number on him. And Tatum, you see the passing he's done over the last stretch here, and I think he's over 5 assists a game this year, under 2 turnovers on the season now. So this is movement in the right direction for this group. You look back on this team, if over this break you watch some games from November, just a completely different approach from this group. And now you see in a game like yesterday's, which is still super impressive to me, the ball whipping around, each unit building on the next. And I hate to say it, Jimmy, but like getting Schroder, getting Ennis, those guys out of there. I know they weren't like swinging games and stuff, but now everybody on the team does the things that they want to do in terms of their identity and the direction that they're bringing their development in. You'll see a little regression in games like this here against Detroit, but overall to see the things pointing up that they want to do is very encouraging. And I'm starting to kick around the names in my head that could be there, but Ime's got to be as much of a coach of the year candidate as anyone else right now, right? I like Jason Kidd in Dallas. They've been one of the best defenses this year.
I hate Jason Kidd. We don't talk about.
Well, he's done a good job. You got to hand it to him the way they're playing defense. Billy Donovan, Chicago certainly has had a great year. Spo is always in that conversation. There's probably a few others too.
I mean, put it this way: if the Celtics continue to win the way they are and end up with a high seed in the playoffs, I think Ime definitely has to be considered. Whether or not he gets it, that's another story. We'll see. But regardless, I mean, I think he's done a lot over the last month or so to change a lot of opinions on him. And I think most importantly, what it looks like to me is that guys are starting to buy into his style of coaching. Because let's be honest, you get a new coach or, a new teacher or whoever it is, you got to get used to their style. And it's not every coach is going to cater to you individually. They're going to have their own way or what they think is the right way. And they might say, hey, listen, this is how I know to do things. And it's proven, or, I believe in it and I need you to believe in it too. And I think now they're more likely to listen to him when he has something good to say, or when he has something to say, I should say. What about, so we did your MVP. What about most surprised player? I'll go first since you guys took the first one. I think this is pretty obvious, but to me it's Grant. I think he has surprised me.
He's the most improved.
Every single game he kind of surprised me a little bit more. I mean, tonight, it's a good reason to talk about him tonight. He had a couple big threes tonight. He's playing both ends of the court. I think, Bobby, you mentioned.
Did you see his corner-to-corner pass to Nesmith? Even the passing's looking pretty good from him. I
mean, talk about guys that Ime trusts. I think Grant has definitely vaulted up that list, and he's definitely distanced himself from the pack of, sort of like the younger guys there, the younger role player guys. I don't know how many minutes he played tonight, but felt like he was in there for a while.
He always
So,
plays 20.
I mean, he literally played 41 minutes tonight.
Wow.
So,
Oh my God, I didn't even notice that.
yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, that just
Because he was starting for Rob. That's right.
exactly. Yeah, he had more playing time tonight because of injuries, but he stepped up, and you know, it's good that he was able to sort of answer the bell. So that's my answer. I don't know if you have the same one or a different one, but
I'm actually gonna go with the other Williams, Rob. So I don't know what we expected from him this year. We came in, I guess, a little bit disappointed, especially John and his shape and the explosiveness there. I know John's still leaning into the fact that he wasn't in the best shape coming in, but in terms of stability, staying on the court, there were a few like tendinopathy things early, but he's mostly been out there every night. Ime had that chat with him and the team about playing through pain, and he's been even more available since then. I know he's got this calf thing going into the deadline here. He's probably not going to hit his games played total, but minutes wise, he's way up, like probably doubling the minutes that he was putting out there last year, playing 40 minutes some nights, going into double overtimes others. I remember opening night when he played like almost 50 minutes, and I thought he was going to drop dead, but he's like, oh, I got this. And he was pretty available from then on. We've seen him improve as a passer. He had that triple-double against Phoenix. Defensively, I saw Sports Illustrated today named him as a Defensive Player of the Year candidate just based off his shots contested and deflections and, of course, shot blocking. He's in the top 5. So he has changed the complexion of this defense. I know we talk about Smart as the heart and soul, but the anchor of this defense is Rob at this point, and the way he just boxes guys out from going inside. He's paired with Horford well. I think we were all skeptical of the double big lineup, but he and Horford have made that work. And just the lack of fouling, too. He never fouls anymore, like we talked about. So I think just in terms of overall game, Rob's solidifying himself as a borderline third piece with the Jays. I think he's past Smart at this point on the hierarchy on this team. There's massive improvement there, and I guarantee he will get some most improved player votes this year. Not a ton, but he'll get some.
I wouldn't be shocked. He should, And it's funny because, Al was sort of brought back to help anchor the defense, and I think it's been the opposite. Like, he's been anchoring, and now you brought in help in someone like Tice so you can take off the pressure from Al. So, yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised by that either, Bobby, if he gets some votes in that category. I mean, one of the top blocks, he averages more blocks almost than anyone in the NBA right now.
Yeah, this is what our friend Michael Pina wrote today. Williams belongs to augment just a bunch of stuff at the beginning there. But he's finally been healthy, averaging 10 or more minutes than he did last year in a switch everything system. I think we got to take that into consideration too. 58 of his blocks out of 103 have been on jump shots. He's first in the league in blocking jump shots this year. So he's on the perimeter playing a ton. Out of 131 players who have defended at least 500 shots this year, Williams makes them 6.1% less accurate than they'd be on average, which is third in the league behind Jared Allen and LeBron. So he's way up there in everything you look at, even steals. Rob gets a ton of steals, hands on a ton of balls. Like, he is super disruptive out there.
Totally. Before we get into the next thing, guys, we do actually have a sponsor that we don't want to forget about. LinkedIn Talent Solutions. One of my favorite sponsors.
Did they email you that one? They emailed you that and the other one? Cool.
I got the right one.
You got the same email. Cool.
I got the right one though, so I don't know what you were reading. But anyways, LinkedIn Talent Solutions.
I'll forward you.
It's a new year, Josue. It's a new year. But it's feeling harder than ever to find and hire qualified people you need, especially for small businesses. Anybody out there? Small businesses, big businesses, no businesses. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. They make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. I know that we've probably dabbled in the LinkedIn business and maybe hired a couple guys here at CLNS. I think that's how we found Bobby. You can create free job posts in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs. Reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over how many people? 770.
770
million.
70,000 people. 70,000 people. No,
770.
And growing. Focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience and use screening questions to get your role in front of only the most qualified. Then use the simple tools on LinkedIn Jobs to quickly filter and prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. So what do you do? What do you do here? Okay, you go to post your job for free at linkedin.com/garden. That's linkedin.com/garden to post your job for free. So you just go to linkedin.com/garden, post a job, it could be any job in the world. Just make something up if you want. Post your job for free and get your business started.
Jimmy.
That is LinkedIn. What's up, Bobby?
I know you probably had a plan, but I just pulled up our preseason predictions, and there's probably no better time than any to look back on these.
Well, okay, we can, but John's gonna want to be a part of this too. We can't do predictions right now. We still got half the season to go. We're not doing.
No, there's 23 games left. We're over 2/3 of the way through.
I say half because it's post All-Star break, so I just call it half. But I know what you're saying. But you're right. No, we'll get to the predictions at the end of the year, Bobby. We don't jump because I think there's a couple of predictions that may still come true.
Well, you can address them as we fire through here. I won't take long. I just want to give people a flavor where we were at the beginning because obviously things have changed there. So Sherrod started off with Tatum's going to lead the NBA in scoring. He actually did for a little while. That wasn't a bad one. I don't know if he's still up there at the top, but he's right in the conversation in terms of total points. So that was a pretty good one off the bat from Sherrod. This one not as good for me.
Total points. Yeah, points per game.
This one not as good for me. Al Horford will have a better season than Rob. Ooh. I'm obviously more on the Rob train than I was before.
That's a very, very tough prediction.
Yeah, you were loving the return of Al though. You were like,
hey, it worked. They both been really
all-star.
I know where this is. There's a lot of bad predictions that you're going to read, but that is a bad one because we're just talking about Rob as a potential defensive player of the year candidate.
Here's yours.
Yeah, I know.
Neesmith will play the rest of the kids. Now, Grant was on no one's radar.
And you know what? He's definitely outplayed Romeo. Romeo's gone, so that's one gone. Pritchard, he's probably going to outplay him by the end of the season. The only guy he's left to contend with is Grant, and I understand that's going to be a very tough hill to climb up. But
Grant became the shooter Neesmith was supposed to be, and I actually heard Grandy say Grant is second in the NBA in three-point percentage, which is unfathomable. Josue, Neesmith, here's a check for Josue. Neesmith or Romeo, along with picks, will be traded. And in comes Derrick White.
Done.
Check for Josue.
I never thought two future first. I thought maybe one future first. Jeez.
You said picks with an S at the end, so just claim
I thought
it.
this would be
just take that.
Well, no. I'm saying, yeah, that's true.
Here's Xanis.
I thought it'd be a second rounder.
Xanis isn't here to defend himself.
This looked like a layup for Xanis. I don't think it happened though. Udoka will bench Tatum for wanting to refs. That hasn't happened, has it?
No, it has not. No, not
that whole wanting to refs thing was done.
And I think we've kind of, you know what? We'll give Tatum credit.
Only Grant Williams felt the brunt of that.
Yeah.
So
Tatum would bark at a ref and he'd sit Grant for the rest of the game.
That no complaining allowed thing didn't hold up. That was a big theme for us coming into the year because Sherrod said Udoka will not pick up a tech all season. I don't know how many he has in total, but he definitely did after Smart fouled on that half-court shot. I forget who they were playing. He's got at least two. I forget who they were playing when Smart fouled that half-court shot.
I can remember at least two.
They aren't. You know what though, guys?
Yeah.
They aren't big-time complainers. Yeah.
They aren't bickering as much as they used to the refs. I don't see it as much. So maybe they are slowly learning that it doesn't get them anywhere.
Jimmy, Celtics will finish as the 6th seed at best. What are they, 5?
Very much in play. Very much in play.
But so is the 1 seed, just 4.5 games back.
Well, 2 weeks ago, I was a layup prediction. So we'll see. Listen, I'm not cheering for them to finish in 8th place, but it's still in play.
This one's in play too. Xanis, Celtics will finish with a worse record than last season.
We could get a Philly first-round matchup. That happens.
This was on track for a while. A worse record than 500 last year. Now, of course, they're games over 500, so probably not from John there. Josue, though, Tatum top 5 in MVP voting. Not quite.
That's not going to happen.
Ooh,
yeah.
Not so much.
That ain't going to happen. You're going to need a
not even top 10. I don't think he gets top 10.
All-Star break stretch.
This one wasn't great either. Bobby, Jaylen will approach all NBA status. He's not quite close either.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was a tough one.
I think he's gone the wrong direction there. John, though, Jaylen will pass Tatum as the unquestioned alpha. Not quite either.
There was a point though where everyone was saying, "Well, which one is it? Which one is it?" So
We always
little
have that
bit,
conversation, but I think
Okay.
it's closer than people think. But I don't
You
think
were big on
Brown
that too, Bobby.
I
For
was.
a little bit.
I didn't say he was going to pass him, though. I just always said
Yeah.
it's closer than people think.
I don't even know like alpha. I don't know if either one of them are. It's clear to me that I think Tatum's better, but there are games where Jaylen plays better, so it's still TBD. But I think obviously right now Tatum going to the All-Star game and all that stuff.
Oh, this might have
Yeah,
been the
yeah.
worst one or the most
This is gonna be mine.
inaccurate. Yeah. So the prediction was Schroder plays over Smart and Pritchard. There
This
were
was not a
stretches.
bad prediction, but read the whole thing.
But this is the worst one.
I know.
I think he's going to be a fan favorite.
So, if fans actually gave him a chance, all he wanted was for fans to give him a chance, and they just jumped
They did not.
They just jumped on the hate Dennis Schroder train, and they just did not want to get off it. I think there are some fans out there who truly did appreciate Schroder, and he's obviously been I think he was underappreciated during his short time here. But I was right that he did play over Smart and obviously played over Pritchard in many cases. So that's a half wrong prediction.
Oh,
Well, I think what did him in for the Celtics fans was that like throughout everything, his play was inconsistent. It was like the one guy who was consistent the first 2 weeks of the season. What is it? His debut, he had like 20 points. We were jumping all over Bobby, being like, "Oh, you don't like the Schroder signing," and then he like stunk it up for 2 weeks straight in concert with the Celtics being a 500 team. So I just think it was easy for him to be sort of the scapegoat, and especially for the Celtics, for the fans out there who are Team Marcus Smart for life. They just like, who is this guy? Why are people saying this guy can produce more than Marcus, or why is this guy getting so much more credit for being so reliable when he wasn't throughout that stretch. He wasn't reliable at all.
I think the skeptics.
No, you're a Schroder hater, though, so you can't really take what you say as fact.
I love that signing. He's the reason why I thought the Celtics were going to be a playoff team before
but
the Schroder
you
signing.
turned on him. You
this
turned
team,
on him.
This team ain't making the playoffs.
You and Sherrod turned on him. You guys were like, nah, we're going to trash Dennis to get him out of town so that Smart can.
He was freestyling out there, Jimmy. He was just like, man, I'm getting that bag one way or another. He didn't play he wasn't with the program. I don't know.
All right, here's
everyone got their wish.
Here's 3 more swings and misses before we get out of here. Rob won't be himself till the second half, said Josue. He's been
he already started early.
Yeah, he
started early.
But
I don't know
why
why
he started in your defense.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said
and
this
on the
one.
sideline and street clothes.
Should be good.
Payne Pritchard will start before the season's end.
What do you mean you don't know why you said that? That's a Bobby Manning freaking quote and a half.
Start for Maine or start for Boston?
I am still stunned at how. I mean, this just shows how good he was last year. The expectations I had for him coming in and in the summer, but he's going the opposite direction.
You know what this shows? This shows that Bobby low key was like, Marcus Smart's getting the hell out of here. That's what this says.
No, I thought he was just going to be like a 2 shooting, but anyway. John, wrap it up. Marcus Smart.
I thought you wanted him to. Okay.
John, Marcus Smart will fight Dennis Schroder. Instead, it was Gary Washburn.
All because he asked about a 1-point performance in Philly. All because of
was any beef with Schroder internally? Not that I can remember.
No,
I don't know. You tell me. You guys.
He just went rogue. Like, I don't think he was too involved. I don't think he was involved enough to even get mad at people. Like, he was just doing his thing. He was just freestyling out there. And he was having a blast. Don't get me wrong. He's having the time of his life, but sometimes it just didn't really help the Celtics. It didn't hurt them, but it didn't always help.
He did what he could. He did what he could in the positions that he was put in on the second unit. Trying to save a.
Yes, who he is.
Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn for half the season.
Right.
He was sometimes the team's best offensive option out there. So you guys can go, stick your nose up at at Dennis Schroder, but I'm gonna remember the good times, and I stand by my prediction.
Whew. All
I
right,
think he
there we
would have been
go.
the same guy no matter what. I don't know. Even if the team was
15
winning or not, he was gonna.
We're on to Derrick
do his
White.
thing.
We're on to Derrick White, and you know what? I can buy into
D
the fact
White.
I
Why
can buy
don't the
into the fact that
commenters-
Derrick White is a better fit.
Why don't the commenters who suggested Derrick White early in the year take a victory lap? There were a few. I saw that name bouncing around going back a little while now. So we'll hop
They
in the
forgot they did
Discord.
that.
I want the commenters to be very honest. I mean, we don't have them on paper, but be honest with your own predictions coming into this year. Where were you right? Where were you wrong? Put your
Yeah, we'll see
ego
'em in the YouTube
aside.
comments,
Put them in the Discord. Put them in the YouTube comments. And we're into the break now, Jimmy. I'm excited to lay low for a week here. We've been working hard.
You got any big plans, Bobby, or what? What's
Tell me
going on?
about it.
I went somewhere
hell outta
warm
here.
last year. I checked the prices a couple days ago, and it's not in the cards. So I'm just gonna sit by the fire.
That's smart. Stay out
Well,
of
you
trouble.
got a couple warm days coming up. So there you go.
Oh
need-
yeah, you're right.
We need both you guys for the stretch run here. It's going to get interesting. There's going to be a lot of good basketball to be played, some playoff positioning, and it feels like the Celtics are actually going to be a part of the conversation, which is fun. I mean, let's be honest. 3 weeks ago, we were on this show calling every day Groundhog Day because all of our shows felt the same. You know, lack of effort, inconsistency, fourth quarter collapse. And man, it just felt like a lost season. So
I
this is
thought
like
they
new
were
life
done.
here.
I declared it over after that next collapse, and how could you not? I mean, Ime came to the presser and said this challenged their mental toughness, and all but said like, I don't know what we're gonna do here. Ever since
pretty
then,
much just like I don't know what.
ever since then, they've won 16-21. Can't ask for much more than that. Like he said tonight, sour taste to end it. Hopefully this doesn't wheelbarrow in the guys coming back like without having done anything for a week or just everybody asleep at the wheel once the break goes by here. But Tatum's going to play the All-Star game. Guys going to get some rest, which I think is huge. Al probably needs it. Rob definitely banged up. Smart injured. So it comes at the right time for this group. I know people are worried about like the Heat turning off. Well, that happened tonight anyway. And now you're going to get healthy, hopefully, and freshen up Tatum and everything else. Well, Tatum's actually going to play in the All-Star game, which I know people always hate. But it's always good to have a representative out there. I'm bummed they don't have anyone in the Rising Stars game, which I'm actually more interested in. So I'll catch bits and pieces of that. But yeah, mostly just relaxing myself here this next week or so.
No, Tatum's gonna go network. All right, that's what these trips
Oh,
are.
okay.
This is a networking opportunity. Okay, so we'll
No
see.
Bradley Beal.
For all the
this
Celtics
year.
fans out there, hoping to see the Celtics reel in another All-Star, future All-Star, or an All-Star in the future, I should say.
Maybe James
That's what
Harden.
Tatum does on these trips. Maybe no,
James.
Bobby.
Maybe
Knock
he's
it
starting to
off.
see
Why would you say-
something. The last two games that he witnessed Boston play, and he's
Oh.
probably like, "Was that the place?" No, maybe that was my.
I
first
think it's in the
estimate.
best interest that he doesn't speak to him at all. Actually, stay away from James. Tatum.
James is not going.
Yeah, that's true. He's chilling. He'd rather stay in New York.
He's
All
somewhere
right, Jimmy.
else. Yeah, I want to say one thing.
What are you doing, Jimmy?
Oh, bro, I'm actually going up north. I'm doing a little skiing this weekend, a little snowboarding.
Nice.
So you might be able to find me. I mean, it's supposed to be 60 degrees though the next couple of days, so I don't know if I'm going to be skiing or hiking, but I'm going to give it a shot. What about this new Taco Bell skills challenge at the All-Star game? You guys seen this? It's a different
no clue what
setup.
So they're pairing people now. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So there's
It's
three
Oh,
teams.
the Antetokounmpos are doing it, aren't they?
Yeah, the Antetokounmpo. There's three
Yeah.
teams. There's the Antetokounmpos, which is Giannis, Alex, and Thanasis, and then there's
Oh, there's three. My fault. Yeah, it's 3 on 3.
Team Cavs, which is Jared Allen, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley, and then there's Team Rooks, which is Scotty Barnes, Cade Cunningham, and Josh Giddey. Sneaky, that might be
Ooh.
That's
a good team.
A good team right there. I don't know
like
how
Josh Giddey.
If the Antetokounmpos win this one, then I mean I don't know how Alex and Thanasis can like hoist that trophy without being like.
We're
"Yo,
usually
thanks,
surprised.
bro."
Guys. That Cavs team
Yeah.
might come through. Remember Sabonis won it that year?
Right. So I think
But
it's
is
the
that
same.
fair
Like,
though? I mean, I get it. They're all brothers, but geez, like These guys
Yeah,
barely crack rotations. Like
these dudes are getting some
what
serious
we doing
love
here?
right now. Yeah, right. Like, who's like, yo, I can't wait to watch Alex tonight, dude. Like,
And
hey,
I know, it's the skills challenge. It's not like but still, it's like
hey, maybe they'll make the most of their opportunity. But either way, it's a different format this year, so that might be cool. Who's in the dunk contest? Do I even know?
Usually, just hear people declining.
Hold on, I'm looking it up. I'm doing this. I'm doing this on the
yeah,
fly.
there's one interesting name in there.
All right, we got Cole Anthony, Jalen Green, Obi Toppin, and my namesake, Juan Toscano Anderson. So I'm obviously going with Juan Toscano Anderson for obvious reasons. My cousin.
Usually
A lot
it's
of
a
people,
guy like
a
that
lot of
who's
people don't know that
present.
it's my long lost cousin, but we are. I don't know. Interesting names.
Give me
Cole
Jalen.
Anthony. Yeah, Jalen Green. He's
Remember-
probably gonna have the Thunder's dunk that we're all gonna be talking about.
The good thing about the dunk contest is this isn't probably good for the casual, but it does kind of bring out some unsung names now. Remember this guy off the Timberwolves bench way back when Zach LaVine came on, put on a show, and he ended up becoming a great player after that. And even last year, it was like the no names,
That was an
right?
unreal dunk contest.
It was just
Yeah,
all these
that
guys
was.
no one really heard of last season, and they all ended up doing decently. And Aaron Gordon really made a name for himself. Probably boosted his profile as a player better than what he was at that point off the dunk contest that he had when he was in Orlando there. So all those guys prime for greater recognition. I know Toscano's got the Golden State thing. Cole is electric. I know no one sees him down there in Orlando, but he's really fun. What else did you say is in it, Jimmy?
Jalen Green
Obi Toppin.
and
Obi Toppin's
Toppin.
an interesting one.
Toppin's
He is,
really
yeah.
good. That's a good
If he
field
starts
right
doing
there.
some 360 stuff, at his size, I don't know. He could have some good dunks. We'll see.
LaMelo.
We'll see.
I want to see LaMelo do every event.
I want to see Gerald Green come back out of retire. Is he? Yeah, he's still retired. I think
That's
he's
who the
trying to
Celtics are going to get in the buyout market.
might
was
get a
another
buyout,
Brad
yeah,
favorite,
he
wasn't
might.
he?
Yeah. We might take another stroll
They
down
need a
memory lane.
Need a
He was-
3-point shooter.
The only guy
Fun
that
fact,
the Celtics.
last night's game, he was a rookie in that game. You saw him in the bench there, suited up.
Yeah, man, those were the days. Those were days. I don't know if they were the
Man.
days, but they were days.
Yeah, they were. I thoroughly enjoyed that, especially hearing Tommy again. That was nice, young Tommy.
Yeah.
All right,
sure.
guys, that's gonna do it for us. We're up out of here, guys. Everyone, enjoy your All-Star break. You already know. Check us out, CLNS Media on YouTube,
Yeah, guys.
CLNSmedia.com. Plenty of content. I mean, it's an All-Star break, but we'll be pumping up stuff. Cedric Maxwell Podcast will have a brand new episode coming out within the next couple of days. Bobby, I'm sure you got something coming up. What do you got?
I'm going to go find James Edwards III, who covers the Pistons here. He is one of my favorite writers in the country right now. I've had him on Dome Theory.
Good dude.
Just pumps out Piston stories. Not an interesting team, but if you can make interesting content out of the worst team in the league, you're doing a good job, and he does it there at The Athletic. So that's a guy to look out for.
Though.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that's going to really kill it in this game for a long time. So I'm going to go catch up with him. We'll probably do a video together, so look out for that on Celtics All Access.
Awesome. Sounds good, guys. I just sent in the message board, clnsmedia.com/Discord. Hit us up on Discord. We're going to be chilling there, even though we're all going on All-Star break. We're going to be in and out of Discord throughout the week. There's audio capabilities in there. There's even video capabilities in there. So we will definitely would love to talk to you guys in there. So join us in there. And everyone have a safe, happy All-Star break, and we will see you guys on the other side. Peace.